Welcome to the episode 10 of the Banners of Peace podcast. Yours truly, TheSpeaker BOP. All right, so what is the topic for today? Today's topic is inspired by something that I see way too often in people around me. And it is also what I consider to be true spirituality, okay? And this is exciting stuff, okay? So, a lot of people, when they go to spiritual lectures, when they go to listen to a guru, they're looking for a divine experience. They're divine experience hungry, okay? And they want to feel bigger than what they are right now. They want to escape from what they are. So their fundamental approach to spirituality is escapism. Now, this could be sugar-coated as many other reasons, enlightenment is like this, like that, yada, yada, yada. Okay? But the quality that I want to talk about today is the notion that the human being is comprised, I've tried to simplify it, is comprised of an internal conflict which holds two sides. One is the purity of the intellect, is you, as the presence here, the truth, okay, let's just call it that for now, the essence. And you as the essence know what it is that you should be doing, what is right for you. Some people call it the intuition, the higher self, whatever. Now, it's that willpower that's there, okay? So you decide, I'm going to be a very peaceful person today, and I'm going to be nice to everybody around me, whatever. And then the day goes on, and next thing you know, you find yourself yelling at somebody over something that's just caused you great frustration, and it's almost like you've been hooked into this impulsive reaction to something. And afterwards, you've gotten yourself into a shouting match, of which you, as the essence at your core, were like, I won't do this anymore. But there, behold, it just happened again. The impulses came and took over you. And there's a subtle gloom that comes after that. Now, this is just one example. This occurs in many different forms, in many different ways, of which your impulses, your desire-driven impulses, momentary impulses that just take over you, are countering your intuitive will power, your original approach to life or towards the day. Now, in this example that I just gave you, true spirituality boils down to this. Now, the people who go to spiritual lectures to find an escapism, to have the guru tell them, oh, you're enlightened, you're divine, da-da-da-da-da, and they just feel special, momentarily, and then the next morning they just wake up and yell at their assistant or whatever, right? So, the escapism, that is almost in the framework of entertainment. It is not spirituality, but it's good entertainment. It's temporary. See, when it comes to spirituality, true spirituality is what the alchemists would say, the spiritual alchemists back in the day. So alchemists were the people who would turn impure metals into gold. That's what they're known for, in a shallow way, but it goes much deeper than that. So the true alchemy in life, the real alchemist knows that the great accomplishment is not turning an impure metal into gold. though it blows everybody's mind. But the true accomplishment that is much more difficult to do is purifying your own impurities and turning this impure, desire-driven sense of identity and persona into a clear alignment with that essence, that willpower, with that kind intention that you have towards the world, which you know is the right path. And a lot of people can't achieve this, so they try to escape from this. And when somebody says to them, the real guru comes and says to them, you got to look at your own problems. You got to look at your foundation as a being. What are these impulses that are controlling you? What are these things that you're giving into that are possessing you and causing you to hate yourself and your life situation? These are the things that you got to be dealing with. So the real guru will not come to you and say, you're divine, you're perfect, you're of God, you're blessed. You know, maybe when you first hear this, you know, the novice on the path to spirituality, you know, they'll feel good. It'll give them optimism, motivation. But it's much bigger than that. It comes down to handling yourself, confronting yourself and your impurities, and transforming this nonsense aspect of yourself, this uncontrolled aspect of yourself, into an alignment with your truth, that which you are and you know you have come to achieve in this life. Intuitively, in your silence, you know that's what you're here to do, to eradicate these nonsense impulses. Now, these impulses, you know, as to where they could have come into you, where they could have been inspired within you, that itself can be a whole different lecture. It could be social conditioning, could be your own decisions, your own carelessness with your own intellect, many reasons, okay? But the point is, a real spiritual process is difficult. It's not a happy, blissful, divine thing. It'll become that, you see, automatically by nature's law. But first you got to go through the bullshit. First you got to confront the nonsense that is bringing you down, and you know that's bringing you down. You might not ever admit it to anybody, you know, even to the guru, you know. And that's why in these ancient spiritual processes, you know, in India, you know, the disciple finds his guru, and the guru is very kind of, you know, sometimes very strict and very mean to the disciple. Everyone's like, why are you being mean to him? And that's because the guru, you know, if they are truly an enlightened guru, they understand that this person is subject to a bullying that is inspired from their own impulses and habits, which involves their own attachment to their wrong views and ignorance. That once these impurities go away, that person will shine automatically. It's nature's law. It is universal law. Clear out the impurities and the clarity is just there, and it'll reveal itself. And this aligns, you know, with some of the Gnostic teachings, you know, where they say, you know, be... Now, I don't want to go into specific religions, but what I'm talking about is where they say, you know, be a moral and good Christian. Be a good Christian, in other words, saying, uphold your moral and ethics. It doesn't mean abide by the extremities defined by a book, you know. Whereas a lot of people actually misunderstand these spiritual books that are around the world, but that's a whole nother topic, okay? But it doesn't mean extremity, okay? Some people may disagree, and that is their freedom of speech, and that is their understanding, which is okay. But for the one who wants to step on the true path, the difficult path, that is the path to heightened awareness and clarity, automatic reveal of profound clarity, they need to be a decent person. They need to channel all their efforts into being moral and ethical, of which the guiding principle is, as you see almost in every religion, main religions in the world, where they say, do unto your neighbor as you would have them do unto you. Okay? So treat others as you would have them treat you. And we forget this. You see, the ignorance that causes the impulses completely has a disregard for this notion. So, you have to be able to confront that you're not perfect right now. And a lot of people can't do this. They lose their shit. They can't do this. And the person, the kind spiritual master who's out of his grace putting himself on the pressure spot of just telling people, you got to look at your flaws. You know, everyone's like, fuck you. You know, get the hell out of here. We want to go to the guy who's all happy and just tells us we're all divine and good, you know. And it's bullshit, because you need to put in effort to understand the effortless clarity and peace that is here, because you are being an obstruction to that. You're being an obstacle to yourself. And so this is the actual process of enlightenment. You got to be able to handle these impulses. And it is a struggle. And believe it or not, see, you know, people think that you got to be a monk, or you got to just like meditate in a cave to be enlightened. No. True enlightenment is actually happening every day all around us. And it is this process, it is people confronting this dilemma within themselves of trying to be beyond their mental-based desires, beyond their desire-driven impulses. And that is the milestone of human evolution, to reach that point. You know, there's a saying that the mind is a dangerous master, but a beautiful servant. Again, it is hinting at this deeper notion. So, if you want to be a spiritual person, as if it's a thing that you choose to be, your spiritual being obstructed by your own ignorance. But if you want to walk the path of the greats, the spiritual giants of the world, you got to begin and be able to inspire the fearlessness in yourself, the courage and confidence to confront your own flaws, to understand that you are trying to get rid of your own nonsense. And the main thing is to understand that this is doable. See, the very enlightenment story of the Buddha, of many other spiritual teachers and prophets, was the proof given by the universal laws, by the higher power, that this is doable. But do you care enough? Because you see, it's not fun. It's not at all fun. People who want to have spiritual experiences where it's all fun, in other words, they're looking for a high, some weird kind of spiritual high. And they're not really going into the gutter of their being and just like taking out the nonsense and tackling it and confronting it. And through that process, when you confront these impulses, when you understand that, okay, I got to change this. How do I change this? It's repeating over and over again. And you actually push the effort, great effort, into eradicating that. Eventually you will succeed. And when that occurs, that's when your intellect is becoming polished. In other words, the impurity, the impure metal, is becoming the gold that the alchemist was doing. And even in ancient Egypt and the spirituality of ancient Egypt, they say the spiritual master is the one who can transmute evil into good, who can transmute these flaws and ignorances of this wrong view and selfishness that has possessed us into the truth, into alignment with the truth, into the good, which has been ever present, you see, but just buried under a lot of nonsense. And the teachings of all these different spiritual masters around the world, they are trying to break you out of your mold of ignorance, of which when you're in, you do not understand. So these people come under scrutiny, under severe judgment, whereas they're actually the ones who are taking the brave steps towards evolving the human species. For the more clear your awareness is, the more clarity you have in regards to the reality of that which is here now. The more the stains of selfishness are wiped away from you in the long run, that is spiritual growth. That is the definition of spiritual growth. I want you all to understand this. Now, most cases, there are people who've realized this profound truth, but they themselves haven't purified themselves. So they know what is up, they know what is right and what they got to do. They haven't been able to do it. But you got to understand that when these people come forth with this, you should not judge them. You got to understand that they know what is up. You got to look at the content, not the messenger always, right? Because it comes down to your growth, your efforts towards yourself. There was a quote by Rumi, I think. He said, I thought the meaning of life was to change the world. Yeah, when he was younger, he thought the meaning of life was to change the world. And then when he grew older, he realized the meaning of life was to change himself. And many religions, Hinduism, Buddhism, I believe, says this in some doctrines, that your enlightenment is the greatest service you can render humanity, because the external world is a reflection of you, your internal state, and once your awareness expands, your frames of receiving this reality become stain free from your ignorances, and that's maturity, the spiritual maturity. And this doesn't go away, you see. You will have this maturity, will come with you in your next lifetime. That is why you have kids who are profoundly mature for their age, and you have adults who are childish, just ignorant, it's almost sad. But this is life. This is the process. We're all part of a very profound learning curve. And it involves the polishing of our foolishness, of our selfishness towards the greater reality that has been ever present but not seen. For our ignorances are the blindfolds. And the societies, the cultures that glorify ignorance over truth, the harsh reality of confronting these ignorances, that society will not succeed in regards to its survivability, because everyone is constantly going through this dilemma, and they're growing. And for some people, I think as spiritual beings, they, as that essence, know what is good for them, know how to handle their own ignorances, and inspire themselves into situations which may become overwhelming. And when they look at it from their selfishness, it's depressing and they break down. But when they look at it from that profound and clear intelligence, they understand, oh, this had to happen. I had to go through all this nonsense to be able to confront this, understand this, learn this. And that is the sign of spiritual growth. And that's how you begin on the path to spirituality. You see? So consider this the explanation of the first step on the path to spirituality. I hope you enjoyed this. I'm going to end the podcast right here.